Well, this week the government has suffered its first Dáil defeat, showing us just how weak this minority cabinet is in the era of new politics. The fact is, once Micheál Martin refused to share power with Fine Gael, they could hold office only with his support. And the Fianna Fáil leader is the one with the power to bring the government down at any time he chooses. So is Micheál Martin the real Taoiseach? Well, Brian Dowling has been to Cork to find out.
His leadership began with an apology.
I am sorry for the mistakes that we made as a party and that I made as a minister.
And again a year later.
We made mistakes, we got things wrong, and we are sorry for that.
4 years on, the apologies are the past. One veteran Cork politician summed up the new politics.
It fills me with puzzlement. My perception is that Enda is in office, but Micheál Martin is in power.
So what about the man with more clout than any previous opposition leader?
He seems to be very well liked here in Cork, not quite loved on the Jack Lynch level.
He's not a Fianna Fáil leader of old. He's not somebody who has dominated the party for 10 or 15 years.
He's one of the boys when it comes here, I can tell you. He's not Micheál Martin, the leader of Fianna Fáil. He's not that.
I don't think Turner's Cross is Drumcondra. I think there's a whole different culture there.
It always strikes me that I'm not certain when Micheál developed the altar boy image.
The last Cork-based leader of Fianna Fáil was Jack Lynch, a towering sporting and political figure. Like Lynch, Martin is seen as a nice guy.
I think one of the biggest influences, which cannot be underestimated, is the influence of his late father, Paddy Martin. Paddy Martin was the champion boxer here in Cork. They say all great boxers, such as Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, the old adage is hit and don't be hit. Micheál likes to hit. He's very good at avoiding taking direct hits. It's hard to pin down.
That became evident in the recent election. Repeated attacks on his and Fianna Fáil's record didn't inflict the damage expected. Former Green Party Senator Dan Boyle knows Micheál Martin of old. He ran against him several times. Yet it was his late father, when chairman of the local Fianna Fáil Cumann, who encouraged the young Martin into politics.
But if you're talking about the pure politics of extracting yourself from what had been a very poisonous negative government and making yourself seem different and repositioning your party to win more seats in the future, I think he deserves some credit for doing that relatively well.
If winning votes is key for any leader, then Martin is no pushover.
I did have an example, though, the first time I stood in 1992, and it didn't come from Micheál. It came from a prominent member of his campaigning team. I got a not very significant vote, but I got berated by a member of Micheál's team for stopping Micheál from topping the poll, because it wasn't enough to be elected. It was enough to send out the signal that you were top dog in the area, I think.
He came in second to Michael McGrath in the last election. I'm not certain that was a deliberate tactic. I don't think it was. It's not in his nature to allow that to happen.
When it came to government formation, Martin surprised many by refusing to budge on a grand coalition or on scrapping water charges. There are those who will tell you that if you really want to understand Micheál Martin, one of the best places to come is here, the home of Nemo Rangers. Sean TWOMEY coached the young Martin at Nemo and got a measure of him.
I can tell you he was very competitive, teak tough, gave 110%. You know, he played it hard and he was always determined to be there and to be on the team. Now, a few occasions we had to take him off the team for substitution and he didn't like it, I can tell you. And obviously, the next day he'd be better again. And that's the way he was.
For a new generation of Fianna Fáil, Martin is now political top dog. But what does he want?
I think Micheál Martin set out in 2011 to rebuild Fianna Fáil. It's quite clear from election results that that's what Micheál Martin has done. I think that's his priority. Whether he'll make it to Taoiseach or not someday, I hope so, but I don't know. And I don't think, as I said, it's something that would worry Micheál Martin too much either.
His ultimate aim is to be Taoiseach, and you know, I think that's a very achievable objective for him. But when you become Taoiseach, you can't be indecisive, and I think if he has a flaw, that's probably it.
Election timing is the Taoiseach's call.
Because they're in a rather unusual government setup, the responsibility for deciding when the next election is going to partly be on Micheál Martin's shoulders. The potential that voters will see any decision to collapse the government as being purely party political, as an act to try and gain support or go at a time when Fianna Fáil is strong in the polls. And voters could be swift to punish Fianna Fáil for that.
Ultimately, he has to decide if and when to strike.